try that again. Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I am going to talk about the Defense Production Act. The Defense Production Act was first created in 1950, and what it does is it authorizes the president to require companies to prioritize contracts that are important for our national defense. It makes those companies prioritize materials regardless of whether or not they're going to lose money. That is important because if you own a company, or just if you're anyone, you don't want to do something if it's not going to make a profit or if it's going to actually take money out of your pocket. Any company is in business to make money. There are nonprofits, that's different. We're talking about corporations such as, for this video, 3M and GM, which come up later. So if a company is prioritizing things and they're trying to look at whether or not they're going to be making money, that would definitely influence the products that they're going to make. The Defense Production Act forces them to make these products even if they're not going to make any money off of it. So it's a really big deal. Also, it designates certain materials to be prohibited, which is to not be allowed for price gouging and hoarding. You can see how this is a big deal right now. People are hoarding masks, people are hoarding toilet paper, of all things. But here's how it works. So if I buy a package of toilet paper for, let's say, $1, all right, and then there's no more toilet paper, well, that's supply and demand. I have the supply and there's a demand. So the price on those are going to fluctuate. If toilet paper is designated as a necessary good for defense, then that's going to stop me from being able to charge, let's say, $10 for that package of toilet paper. I can get in trouble for that. Or if I go and buy 100 packages of toilet paper and hide them in my house, and toilet paper was designated a required necessary good under the Defense Production Act, I could get in trouble because now I'm hoarding that. So it stops people from being able to price gouge, being able to hoard. Also, it authorizes the president to requisition property and forces industry to expand production and the supply of basic resources. What does that mean? Well, if I am, let's use 3M because this is in the news. If I'm 3M, I like to make Post-it notes and office supplies. But that means I can make masks because I have paper products, and masks are paper products. So what it makes me do as 3M is stop making Post-it notes and start increasing and making my supply and making masks. Huge. There have been several times that this has been used in our country's history since it was enacted in 1950. The first is the Korean War. That's sort of when it started. The second was in the 1980s. It helped develop new technology. I'm sorry. It was let's try that again. First is the Korean War, 1950s. Second, Cold War, which began in the 1950s. Third is the 1980s, where we see technological advances and new technology. The fourth is in 2011. Obama used it to counteract Chinese cyber espionage. Love that word. It's basically Chinese cyber spying. So the idea of fake news and Russia and China kind of dictating what we're seeing and using our technology against us has been around for a while now, so much that in 2011, Obama enacted the Defense Production Act to try to counteract it. I always tell my students when they ask about World War III, I'm like, I'm less concerned about nuclear warfare and more concerned with cyber sabotage, because that's how things are being controlled right now. Makes sense. In 2017, President Trump used the Defense Production Act on 2 different products that were, quote, critical to national defense. What the products are really complicated, and you can look them up. It's on Wikipedia, but I'm not going to get into it. And just recently, here in 2020, Donald Trump, again, you enacted the Defense Production Act for ventilators and PPE. That's the stuff that the first aiders and first responders and people in the hospital use to go into rooms and protect themselves. So a lot has happened in this month, and I'm going to just suck it down because I don't want this to take very long. He enacted it in March, didn't really want to use it, sort of said we shouldn't have to really force anyone, you should just do this because it's the right thing to do, which is fine until on the 27th of March, negotiations broke down with GM. And when those negotiations broke down, Donald Trump said, yo, I'm going to force you to do this. GM, you are now forced to make ventilators, regardless of whether or not you're going to make any money off of it, because I'm telling you to. We need ventilators. And then just recently, like it's just in my news feed, the same thing is sort of happening with 3M. The difference is 3M is saying, look, we are making as many masks as we possibly can. It's not that we don't want to make masks. It's not that we need more money to make masks. It's that we can't physically make any more masks. And the president was like, figure it out. So 3M is sort of, putting out there that they're doing what they can. Are they? They say they are. The president says they're not. So doesn't matter to me. What matters is that we have the Defense Production Act and we use it at a time where the president and his advisors, let's be honest, feels that these products are necessary to protecting Americans. I'm glad we have it. Super important. It can get really super confusing. And if you look back, I was around in the 1980s and I was definitely around in 2011 and I was around in 2017 and I don't really remember this being in the news. We are in a different situation right now. We're in a global pandemic, so maybe that's why, and that's all I'm hearing, so maybe that's why it's in the news more, but the Defense Production Act has been used throughout history. It's basically out there to help increase supplies for national defense. And considering right now, they're talking about the fact that we have a war on an invisible enemy and they need ventilators and masks. Hope you learned something for today. Please join me next time. And let's face it, next time could be pretty quick considering this is my life right now. Stay safe, stay sane, stay informed, do good things, be good people. Bye.